Let There Be Talk. This is Dean Delray live from the Hollywood Hills, Beechwood Canyon, underneath the Hollywood sign. My guest today is Rockabilly Jay.
That's me.
Yeah, I don't know your last name. I never know.
Nah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, you've
important.
been Rockabilly Jay since I've known you.
Yeah, I got stuck with that at West Coast, and it's been ever since.
How did you get that? Just because you're into rockabilly music?
It actually started out as Rockabilly Vegetarian because of my hair, my greasy hair. And Bill called me Rockabilly Vegetarian, and it just got shortened to Rockabilly Jay. Lucky me. So,
Rockabilly Jay, the reason I want to have him on today is this is kind of a motorcycle episode. I'm going to have some motorcycle shows coming up. Alonzo Bowden's going to be on. I love motorcycles. Always have, always owned them. You worked at the biggest, basically custom motorcycle shop in the world, West Coast Choppers.
Yep.
Right?
10 years for 10 years.
10 years. The shop was what, open 12 years?
Yeah.
And you came in like what, on the third year?
Yeah, I came in like right when Monster Garage was starting, but before it aired.
If people don't know what West Coast Choppers is, that's, of course, the famous shop that Jesse James opened that was married to Sandra Bullock. If you don't know anything, you've been living under a fucking rock.
On the moon with
on
your
the
fingers
moon.
in your ears.
And he basically was like a Long Beach guy or whatever, and opened a shop that became the most famous motorcycle shop in the world.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I mean, how the fuck do you do that?
I don't know. It was kind of the right place. I think for as far as Jesse goes, it was a lot right place, right time. He did Motorcycle Mania, and he was, he was the first of those, like it or hate it, tattooed, blue collar guys to get a TV show, which spawned every.
Yeah, and that was Monster Garage.
Yeah, well, actually, Motorcycle Mania first.
Oh, that was the one. What was that one about? Like
the first one was when I built the bike for Shaq.
Oh,
and then
I got you.
And then was the El Diablo 2 for Sturgis.
Oh, those where they were specials. Like little specials. Yeah. Oh, those were awesome.
Yeah, those sort of started it. So now when you see some mouth-breathing tow truck driver screaming about storage lockers,
yeah, it was
it's all Jesse's fault.
Yeah. He started that fucking blue collar reality show shit.
It all kind of stems from that. I feel anyway.
Absolutely. Now he was just kind of had a small little shop in Long Beach or something, or whatever.
Paramount.
Paramount, yeah. Over there by that gay bar, I think, right there. What's that place called? It's like the Rusty Spoke or something. I remember one time he sent us on a bike ride over there, and we went in. It was a gay bar.
Oh, that was when we did the poker run, the Pistons.
Yeah, the Pistons. That's
Pistons.
It. Yeah, he said the shop was around the corner from there. I never been there, and you were living in Long Beach?
Yeah, I had just moved to Long Beach from Philly.
From Philly, and how did you meet Jesse?
A friend of mine, I came out sort of in the hot rod scene, and a friend of mine was working behind the scenes at Monster Garage before it aired, like while they were filming like the first 4.
Right.
And they were looking for people, and he said, come down and check it out. And I went down, met Jesse, did the show. I got picked to do the show. We filmed the show, and then I did the Porsche golf ball collector. I think it was 7th episode. We filmed it before the show ever aired, so it was weird. We didn't know how it was going to be. But it was cool. It was a lot of fun. And then afterwards, he asked me to stay on and help finish some of the cars.
Yep.
So I prepped the school bus boat and did some prep work on the Zamboni. I was there for like another week after I'd done my show, and then he asked me to work full-time at Monster Garage.
Right.
Kind of replacing the guy that I knew.
Oh, see you later.
Yeah, that dude sucks. We want to bring you in. I'm like, and it was a lot of work. And I was just like, I told him, I said, you're kind of setting me up to be in this 6 months from now. You're going to be saying, Jay's an asshole. Let's get this other guy in here. Oh, yeah. So I said, nah, I'd rather have you think I'm okay. Yeah. And I gave it to my buddy Alex, who I was on the show with, who works at West Coast Customs now, who worked at West Coast Choppers for a while. But I said no, and then I bumped into him a few weeks later and said, hey, what about the bike shop?
Yeah. Now, were you a bike mechanic or a car mechanic from Philly? What'd you come out here for? To play music or?
I had been out here. I was in a band that toured, and I liked it, and my band took a shit, so it was like,
right.
Now's the time to move to California. And I was super into the hot rod scene, and more into cars than bikes.
Right.
And I came out here kind of to do that.
That hot rod scene's funny, huh? I mean, it's everyone's still in the 50s, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like cosplay. You know, some guys dress up like stormtroopers.
Yeah, exactly.
Some guys dress up like Fonzie.
It's just
or
time
I dress
travelers.
up like both. So it's cool. It's all right.
It's weird, man. Like the Rockabilly chick's the only kind of chick I've never gone out with because they only go out with Fonzies, right?
Yeah, the Taco-Billy broads and the Sweaty Page.
Yeah, Sweaty Page, Taco-Billy's. Exactly.
It's no different than now. You look at the bikers and everybody wants to be like some 70s Easy Rider bullshit with like putting on their denim vests and their big beards and go play, you know.
Yeah, that like ride free kind of
They go play Hell's Angels. I don't want to say that. They go play, you know, like 70s biker dude.
Yeah, they don't even play Hell's Angel. They just play like Easy Rider.
Yeah, that kind of, which was the most boring fucking movie ever.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hate that movie.
Yeah. Now, a lot of bikers hate Easy Rider because it's just like, whatever. I enjoy it because I like the kind of, the scenes, but I understand, you know, after a while you're like, okay, what's happening?
I'll take the wild one.
Oh, well, the wild one is definitely the all-time classic bike film. Yeah. You got the best leather jackets in that. You have the coolest bikes.
Yeah, Lee Marvin.
And you have some of that wacky talk like, you know, far out, Daddy.
Oh, I love that.
That shit is
Maynard
crazy.
G. Krebs.
Yeah. There's one of my favorite lines James Dean did in Rebel Without a Cause where he says, you know what? You read too many comic books. And that was an insult. Can you imagine? Like, hey, those are fucking fighting words.
Yeah, now you'll be brawling in the parking lot.
Yeah, you read too many comic books. That's like
Is that even possible?
I know. What are you talking about?
No, that's crazy.
So now, I mean, this shop, like, what people don't understand is it basically was the biggest custom chopper shop in the world. You have guys like Shaq, who could go to anyone buying bikes. You have every kind of type. You got giant corporate business guys buying bikes.
We did for the Maloofs. We did
Maloof
Kid
bikes.
Rock. Obviously,
Kid Rock
was popular. We did one for Keanu Reeves. A couple for Keanu Reeves.
Yep.
Who, by the way, rode, like, we'd build a bike and then we get it back for service, and they look like they've been sitting in a garage a lot of times.
Yeah.
Keanu's looked like he rode it like off-road. It looked like he went enduro riding on it.
Yeah, Keanu actually rides.
He rides like a motherfucker. That thing was thrashed. It was awesome. We actually shot it when it came back. I don't think the pictures ever got used, but when it came back, I mean, it was just all dirty and just hadn't been, you know,
the seat looked like it'd been like through like a swamp,
which was awesome because it's like he actually rode it. Whereas instead of just putting down Melrose and parking it, he actually, you know.
What a lot of people don't understand is these bikes started at like $65,000 and would go up to like $200,000, right?
Yeah.
Like, what was the most expensive one to come out of there?
Man, I honestly am not sure. I'd have to say either it's so hard to say. The copper chopper was really expensive. The airplane bike.
Oh, yeah, the airplane bike. Now, that bike had an airplane motor in it.
Yeah, it had an 8-cylinder rotary engine mounted in the front. It was really cool. Really just a cool thing to do. And then the sidecar bike we did for Airstream was pretty expensive, too.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah.
So the shop's open a couple years. They're kind of just making some funky pro sport bikes. You know, like...
Well, it was like what
was happening at the time. And then Jesse makes the Camel bike. Like, a lot of people are like, what's the Camel bike? But the Camel bike was, to me, kind of or not the Camel bike, but that purple one with the orange flames where he goes to Florida. Oh, that's the Camel bike.
I think that was the first Camel
bike. The first Camel bike. Mm-hmm. And he goes to Florida.
Oh, no, I know which one. You're thinking of the jockey shift one.
Yeah, that's right, with the sword handle. Mm-hmm. That, to me, is kind of the first famous chopper because it's like, whoa, this is fucking badass. It's like a kind of a 60s chopper. He goes down to Florida. He goes up against famous bike builders like those dudes in what are they called? The
big
Arlen Ness. He goes against Arlen Ness. He goes against the big dudes, and he wins. This guy from Long Beach in a bike contest with the biggest guys in the world with this bike.
Well, the thing with the West Coast bikes that a lot of people, I mean, now obviously the frame of reference is Orange County Choppers,
right?
Which everybody loves. But
could be some of the worst motorcycles ever made.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
A couple of just the biggest buffoons ever.
Yeah. Yeah,
we'll get into that.
We'll get into them later.
Yeah,
but the thing with the West Coast bikes that made them expensive, that made them different, was that we were making everything from the frames, the wheels, the risers, the handle. Every part on that motorcycle was handmade in a shop in the ghetto in Long Beach.
Yeah, like what a lot of people don't understand, they say, oh, I got a custom bike from Orange County Choppers. That's not even custom. That's just like they ordered the frame from like Daytech. They got the tank from like,
the airplane bike, the like fighter plane bike, one of the first bikes Orange County Choppers did on their shows, actually used a villain tank, a West Coast Choppersand tank.
Yeah, they're just using other people's parts and they're putting it together. But when you buy a West Coast Chopper bike, it was like the frame was built in there, the handlebars, the risers, like you said, the exhaust, the seat, the paint, everything was done in there.
Yeah.
So it's a true custom hand fabricated motorcycle, like an old school Harley back in like the 30s, you know?
Yeah.
30s, 40s, when they were just making them by hand, everything in there.
That's why our stuff cost so much and why it took off the way it did, because there was nothing like it. There were a lot of people copying it, but there's always something you could see when somebody was trying to copy our bike. They just missed it by that much.
Exactly. And a lot of people, what they don't understand is they might have been $100,000, but there was definitely like $100,000 of money put into that bike, physically, like hours, lease on the building, the employees, the hour, everything about it. There was no money in that. It was all about money and the parts. Once you guys took off, you had parts that were selling like crazy. Yeah. But there's no money in the bike making. A lot of people go, oh God, those guys make a fortune on those bikes. Sure, you could build one for about $22,000, but the man hours is ridiculous. I've seen bikes. They take some guys wait 2 years for their bikes, 2-3 years.
Oh, there were some that waited even longer than that one.
Some never even got their bikes.
Yeah, some probably never even got them. Yeah.
Now, early on in the shop, you guys had some employees that were just comical to me. You had you had a cast of characters that worked there that matched the reputation of the motorcycles. It was kind of crazy fuckers working there too.
That's what was so great about that place, was that it was sort of like Jesse would take in strays. Like, you could tell right away, like, when somebody would show up, if they were gonna, work out or if they were gonna fit in. And as soon as somebody started working there, you're like, oh, this guy's not gonna last. Or
it's a fierce hazing.
Yeah, it was, especially back then, especially at the beginning when we were shooting fireworks at each other.
Yeah.
It was just chaos. But, I mean, we did a lot of work. We were there, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. More when it was time to when we would go to shows to Sturgis, or it was always take new bikes every time. We never took the same bikes.
Stun people with these new things that you come up with. I remember one time I was at Sturgis and you guys showed the CFL too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean the characters down there. Now you had Bill Dodge. He was kind of running the shop at the for about 8 years, right? What do you think?
Yeah, he was the shop manager when I started. And as Jesse got really busy with Monster Garage, and he was still in every day. But as far as day-to-day operations, Bill was the shop manager. He was the shot caller. He was to. And he was a big personality for sure.
Yeah, he definitely became like an egomaniac. He thought he was Jesse. I mean, if you came into the shop, his style.
Well, and that was actually his job. Jesse wasn't there, so he was Bill from West Coast Choppers. We needed somebody in there like that if Jesse wasn't going to be there.
Yep.
And Bill was perfect at it. And I mean, he and I butted heads plenty of times, and I actually feel bad. I haven't spoken to him since he left there.
Yeah, wow.
And
I've seen him over the years, but not much. He was in Jersey for a while.
Yeah.
Ran into him out there somewhere, and then I did see him at Sturgis. We'll get into that, but he was kind of running the shop, and the interesting thing about Bill Dodge is the way he would run the shop. You could tell he would just get the bullshitters out of there right away.
Yeah,
like guys would come in all the time and act like they want to buy a bike and stuff, but they didn't have any money, And that shop was kind of like after Disneyland, people would take their kids over there to see the shop and buy shirts and shit.
When we were working in the shop, the spiderweb gate, there'd be 10 people deep all day long staring at us building motorcycles. It was like working in a zoo.
It became this absolute phenomenon from Monster Garage and everything. I never seen anything like it. You're right. You pull up to get your bike worked on, and there's guys just watching you guys.
It was crazy.
Like all day, like dudes. And also, what came with that would be these outrageous West Coast Choppers myths that were just unbelievable. If you owned one, like I owned, I think 5 of them. But if you owned one of them, everybody had something. I heard that Jesse doesn't build the bikes.
I heard to Tyson Beckford. He bought the place.
Yeah.
Custom Chrome owns it now.
Yeah, there's just so many rumors. Like I heard that, they're going to open up West Coast in Japan. Or just that the place had more myths than, it was just insane.
I still hear them. Like if I look online in some of the forums, people will be talking about the parts. Oh, those are the CFLs that were made in China.
Yeah. The China CFLs were a classic.
Yeah, we never made any. No frames were ever made anywhere except Long Beach. It was so funny.
Yeah.
And the black-owned business rumor that the Tyson.
Yeah.
The Tyson owning it, I heard a few times, and that came from a sign that said black-owned business
out front.
We went down to VIP Records up in Long Beach, which is where like Snoop got his start and all that stuff.
Yep.
And during the riots, they had these signs up that would say black-owned business that would, so you don't fuck with our business.
That's right.
And we asked them, and they gave it to us, and we put it in the window at West Coast because we thought it was funny.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And then that's where that rumor started.
Yeah. Now, this place starts to generate, like, what do you think, 50, 100 million bucks? I mean, what kind of money was going into this place? Like, I mean, there was money coming out the ass on the parts for a while here.
For the parts and the bikes and the T-shirts.
Now, here's one thing. Did he sell the T-shirt rights to Walmart for 100 million, 10 million, 5 million?
I honestly don't know. At that point, when Walmart came in, it was so... As the company got bigger, it sort of like splintered off into, there was the bike department, and he started doing cars more. We had a whole car department.
That's right.
And we had Garage Magazine, and then we had the Walmart T-shirts and the Jesse James workwear, and
it was just everything.
It was everything, and while we all worked together, I have no fucking idea how much money that stuff made or what. There were certain designs that were strictly for Walmart, and there were certain designs that were strictly for us in the shop, the West Coast.
But this shit, I mean, it's just millions, man.
I'm sure.
I mean there's 3 towards the end. There's 3 humongous properties. You got the giant warehouse, you got the original warehouse, then you had the kind of photo and parts warehouse,
the paint booths.
Yeah, and it was at a massive compound that was just spectacular for one guy, ground up, like just a chopper builder. You know what I mean?
And they renamed the street West Coast Choppers.
They renamed
Boulevard.
the street.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it's insane. It'll make a great movie someday.
It will make a great movie. And from him, a million shitty builders spur off in about a weekend and start building fake bikes and everything. And this whole industry explodes with chopper. I mean, it was crazy. There was time when I was at Sturgis, and there was probably about 700 builders there, and they were all building just kind of West Coast chopper bikes.
They all had the bandanas and the pit bulls and the shotguns and they want to look like cholos, but they're also it was that's how you can tell when you really make it, when you spawn that many imitators.
Absolutely, man. And there was a West Coast shirt every other guy there over Harley Davidson shirt.
Yeah, the black shirt with the white Iron Cross was just...
It's the Von Dutch of like motorcycle shirts.
More like the smiley face. It was so...
it was so
prevalent. It was everywhere.
It was crazy, man. So, of course... like the celebrities started coming in. Who were the cool celebrities that came in? Like Kid Rock, he rides, right?
Yeah, he rides. And actually, he's related to the coolest celebrity, in my opinion, that ever came in the shop. And I think you'll get, the more you talk to people, you'll get this, was John Schneider.
Oh, yeah. John Schneider.
Oh, my God. He came in when we did...
Dukes of Hazzard guy.
Right, Bo Duke. And it was on Smallville and...
Right.
Curb Your Enthusiasm now, but he comes in with Kid Rock in the General Lee.
Yeah, badass. How crazy is that?
It was insane, and he was the nicest guy in the whole fucking world.
Right.
And he posed for pictures. We brought out guns, like not prop guns. We brought out guns.
Yeah.
To like stand
you guys
in front
had
of the,
guns down there all the time.
We brought out shotguns and stuff and took pictures with him in front of the General Lee. The police came up while we were doing that and fake arrested him and took pictures, and he was like the nicest guy in the world during the whole. I sat in the General Lee. I mean, he was just the nicest and handsomest guy in the whole. He was just awesome. There's no way that guy's not a star. Like you see him, he was the best. He's my favorite, and I think.
Who is the worst celebrity? I mean, you get a lot of celebrities.
The worst celebrity that was barely that. I don't even know if this counts. Was Ashton Kutcher, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
because we did an episode of Punk'd.
Yep,
and it was like a week and a half of just bullshit, making this fake bike that was supposed to explode and blah, blah, blah. I mean, and it was a shit ton of work.
Right.
And we did this whole Punk'd episode, had it all planned out, rehearsed it. Ashton Kutcher showed up for 5 minutes during the filming, and that was it. And he
just
was gone.
Pose.
And barely talked to anybody. He just was a douche. So, like, every time you see him, and people, well, when people are ragging on him and stuff, I'm just like,
yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. And other than John Schneider being cool, Sandy was the best.
Sandra Bullock, unbelievable. I couldn't believe the first time I met her. I remember one day I was over at West Coast Choppersand on Christmas Day. Mm-hmm. Jesse said, "Come by." He had made that coal. That he was doing
the forging,
and I guess Sandra Bullock's father had done that for years or something. Mm-hmm. And he was back there showing me how he was making this shit. And then Sandra and her dad came back there, and they were like the coolest people on the planet.
Yeah,
I never met a cooler lady than that.
Yeah, she's super. I have tapes of her bowling with my kid and stuff. She's just like this, just a sweetheart.
That's why you see a giant demise. I mean, that's all later on, but that's craziness,
And no matter how cool somebody is, somebody's sick of their shit.
Yeah, we all know that.
We don't know.
We all know that. I mean, you know what I mean?
As far as a cool person, she was a cool person. John Schneider was a cool person.
Now, how many bikes were built there?
God, I don't know. I have all the files still from the shop from my toolbox because I would actually stamp frame numbers. And all
you were the guy
bikes.
that would make the frame numbers.
Yeah, so I actually have my paperwork on it still, but I honestly would say a couple hundred maybe.
Right, a couple hundred, if that.
Yeah, and then there's certain models like the Swing Arm Dominator, which there's two of them, which sucks because the one with the X Wedge, the black one with the flames, probably the best riding bike that's ever come out of that shop. That bike rode amazing.
Wow, yeah,
I barely got a chance to scratch the surface with that thing before before it all ended.
I mean, some of the choppers that were coming out of there are some of the world famous ones. I've owned them. I had the Chongo Blanco.
Yeah, that one's pretty. Yeah, one of the most famous ones. The first sort of rust bike.
I mean, that was $100,000 motorcycle.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know that. Yeah,
which is crazy because that bike is rust. The paint is all rust, and that was sort of. That's what Jesse would do is when something got popular, he'd stop it.
He'd do the anti.
Other way. Yeah, he'd go the other way with it. If bright metal flake became popular, he'd start painting things rusted.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was like, I remember the first time I walked in the shop and saw the bike, I was like, oh, I got to own that because it looked like one of my favorite Robert Williams paintings is called Rust Demon. Mm-hmm. And I always liked it because it was a spin on rust. And it was like boats that were rusty and became like these monsters. And when I saw this bike, I was like, I got to have that. It took me 4 years to get it. But, man, that thing is probably the most famous chopper in America besides the Sturgis and the Copper Chopper.
I think probably the Copper Chopper came up after that one.
It did.
Because the Rust one is sort of probably people that are into motorcycles know that one more.
Yeah.
But the general public, that Copper bike was a mind blower at the time because nobody. Again, it was just that's what Jesse's good at is when
it had the riveted tank,
and he'll go to some other manufacturing like riveting copper into a tank.
But the thing about the the Chongo was actually his bike. The other ones he would ride for a week on TV and never ride it again and then sell it for big money. And people would go, this was Jesse's bike. I was like, nah, actually he just rode that on TV for about 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the truth. I mean, it's famous because people know it from TV, but it wasn't actually his bike. When I got the bike, the West Coast Chopper, it had his name on the title. It said West Coast Choppers, Inc. And it was in every magazine, every toy made on the bike. Shirts, photos, everything on this thing. Blankets. I had a sleeping bag with it on there.
Yeah, that bike was pretty much the face of West Coast for a long time.
It really was, man. And it was just kind of, it had every ultimate piece on it. It had the amazing Zippers motor. It had the first skull. Wasp tank, the Decker skulls, the first FU pipes. The Paul Cox seat, all this stuff made it the mighty chopper it is. But there's other great ones out of there. I just saw the Sturgis special. It only sold for $31,000.
Which one? The turquoise and green one?
Yeah.
I think it was in, Transformers 2, I think it was in?
Yeah, that thing was at one point I was trying to buy it from the guy that owned it. He was out in Paramount or whatever, Hivon Choppers. Mm-hmm. I tried to buy it from them, offered him $85. He said no. And now it's sold for $31.
I see him going on eBay every once in a while for that kind of money, and that was one thing that was good when Bill was running the show.
Yeah,
was that a bike would never hit eBay. A complete bike would never hit the secondary market. We'd figure out some way to get it back.
That's right.
If somebody wanted to sell
to keep the value up.
Right, and plus it was exactly to keep the value up, and if you wanted one.
Yeah.
You had to come through us, so we would end up, if they came up for sale, we'd usually get them back.
I became a middleman for selling them, and I actually started getting people financed through Harley Davidson.
Yeah,
and the way I showed value on them was Jesse did an interview in Men's Health magazine, and he in there said that he sold a bike to Shaq for $150 and sold another one for $110, and that's how we established the value of a West Coast Choppers from a Men's Health magazine interview
from the owner of the company.
That's right.
Magazine. Well,
so now I'm getting these loans for people for $100,000, and they're buying bikes right from the shop.
Yeah.
And also I'm selling them in the middle market. So that was another cool way to show the value of them, because instead of going to eBay, I would buy them from people.
Well, you couldn't find them on eBay. That's how you couldn't establish value off eBay, because they'd never show up there.
They weren't around. Also, a lot of people don't know how to sell stuff.
Yeah.
Most of the people that bought them were rich, and they just go, I'm not riding that anymore. It's not popular, and they just blow it out for anything.
Yeah.
Which is dumb, because, I just sold the Chongo Blanco for the second time for the owner that I sold it for over a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
You just got to know what the hell you're doing, and you got to know what you own.
Well, and there is a lot, people do bulk at $100,000 or whatever for a bike, but the amount of work and the amount that came out of that place, and you see parts now. I just looked on eBay the other day at what parts are going for, and it's insane.
Yeah, risers go for $2,500.
That's ridiculous.
You know what I mean? It's insane that risers for handlebars would go for that much money. People just they just don't understand. These are like the barest of motorcycles, like Batmobile. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and then we did do a few. We did those ones for
the Grindhouse,
for the Grindhouse movie, and there were a few that were out there. I was going to say the Coors commercial bike, but that ended up turning into another bike. That never actually was a real bike.
But the bikes were on the Tarantino Grindhouse films.
Yeah, there's actually two of those that are identical, except for the color of the master cylinder.
When I actually went to go buy the Chongo, the day I went to go buy it, Jesse said, be here tomorrow with the money or you can't have it, which is a weird way how he would do business all the time.
Oh, yeah.
When he needed money, he would never go into his bank account. He would just sell something he didn't want.
Yeah.
So he was going to buy some rare German, like VW owned by the Reich or whatever, something crazy.
Yeah, something nuts.
And, he said, be here tomorrow with the money. By the time I got there with the money, he had already got the money from somewhere else, and now he didn't want to sell the Chongo to me. And I had just sold the Death Dealer.
Right.
So he's like, no, just take this Grindhouse bike. And I was like, I don't want that. It's got like a 300 rear tire and shit. I want this bike. It's the only bike I want.
Right.
And then he balked at it for a while. But he did run business weird.
The whole company ran different.
Yeah, it ran different.
Even if you called up for parts. Oh. I remember when, Mark was running parts, and it would be if you called too much to check on your shit, it was, it would be, okay, what's your name again? Okay, yeah, I got the order. It's fucking canceled. Click.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, like, what people didn't understand is you didn't need everyone. So if they were annoying, you just cut them out of the fucking loop.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I mean, because that was the one thing with that shop is while we did make parts and did do parts run, it ran more as a custom shop. So, like, that stuff wasn't high volume. It wasn't like if you called to order a set of risers, they were sitting on the shelf most of the time.
Yeah, they had to be made.
They had to be made, or they were in the process of being made. It wasn't like, there were a few things we would have in stock, but there were a lot of things that, It took a while to get the stuff, which is, I think, why it costs so much now, because it was kind of a pain in the ass to deal with us and to get it.
When do you think it starts going south? Round 8, like once Bill Dodge, and now Bill Dodge gets fired. A lot of people don't understand, like, this place was just fucking off the hook. They had huge parties once a year called the No Love. Danzig played them. They had, like, bike gangs there. They had, like, cops on the roof making sure people didn't hurt each other. Like, these parties were out of control.
Monster trucks and roller derbies and wrestling and... Yeah. They were the craziest thing ever.
So it's at the all-time biggest, and Bill Dodge gets fired.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what year that was.
It was probably around 08 or so. I mean, sorry, not 08, like 06 or so.
I'm so bad. I was there for so long, it just blurs together
into
this one big, because I was kind of, I came in right as it went up and sort of watched it all the way through.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, I was there trying to make it happen the whole time. But yeah, once Bill left and things...
Now he gets fired, and all of a sudden it's just kind of like, Jesse's too busy. He's not really ever at the shop.
Well, he was there. He came back in and started doing a lot more himself once Bill left.
Right.
And it was sort of a transitional period where Monster Garage was waning, but at the same time, I feel like the chopper scene was kind of changing and waning. The market was just flooded.
Yeah, it was.
Bullshit.
Big tire bikes.
And the OCC guys were out, and it was just ridiculous. Like, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
So, and then we had done this sale for our 10th anniversary where we dropped the prices like to nothing. We were making nothing.
I remember that. It was unbelievable.
We were making nothing on the parts.
I went down there and bought everything there was.
It was crazy. And so we were still recovering from that on the parts end of things. The bike orders were still huge, but we were trying to get things going, and there was a real, like, struggly period there in the middle. But I honestly can't remember what year it was. But yeah, Bill left, and then Skippy was running the place for a while. And we always had good crew in there.
Yeah, you had a good crew in there, but then Jesse brings in kind of that weird management from like Toyota or something, that guy.
Yeah, Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, that's what you guys call him.
Yeah.
That was another thing. Everybody had a name down there.
Everybody had a nickname.
Yeah. I always knew, like, whenever I went in there, whenever I left, I knew they were talking shit about me, because when you're in there, it's the type of place where they talk shit about everyone while you're in there. So as soon as you walk out, they're talking shit about you.
Oh, when you'd pull up on Roy's old bike, you'd be like, oh, that fucking guy again.
Yeah.
You'd see him outside of the gate, and we're like, oh, Jesus, what now? What now with this guy?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the problem is, if you're not rich, like I wasn't rich, and you buy one of these bikes with your whole life savings or whatever, and something goes wrong, you can only go to you guys.
Yeah.
And if you bought a bike not from you guys, through a middleman, you were like a black sheep. You know what I mean? You were considered like, fuck this guy. We built that bike for someone else, and you're out of here.
Yeah.
And it was like they didn't care about the bike or anything. It was just the original customer. Which was really a weird vibe for a while.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, we never disowned a bike.
You just disowned the second owner.
No, you were just a pain in the ass.
Well, my bike was fucked up,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is some of them, they're handmade and they
well, I was riding it.
Yeah, you're
I
riding
think most guys
shit out of
are.
it.
Yeah, I'm riding it every day.
Not that they won't take that. A lot of them will take that.
But you got to go through the R&D. Like, I mean, you ride it for a while, shit breaks, then you wrench on it, then you ride it.
Well, and the guy who had it before you didn't ride it.
That's right.
So all the break-in period came in with you, so it was kind of like,
oh yeah, exactly.
Even though this bike's a year old, it's actually brand new.
It is, that's right. That's right.
So it was a weird deal.
And a lot of people don't realize you can't just start fucking up and riding these things every day. Like I was riding it everywhere, like thousands of miles, over 100 miles an hour. Shit's fucking violent.
After you get it dialed in.
After you get it dialed in, correct. Like after 3,000 miles, my bike's nothing ever. Like the Chongo, nothing ever happened to it. Same with the Death Dealer. You know,
that's the thing that comes back with our bikes was that we'd see bikes from other builders come through, whether OCC or Choppersand or whoever, and the bike, our bikes would last. You could, and once that shaking period was done, you could ride it wherever you wanted to.
The cool thing about Jesse was he has great taste in cool shit. Like he did the Stingray, the BMX documentary. Mm-hmm. Which what was Joe Kidd on a Stingray? Was fucking fantastic. There was always really great fun parties, and there's just like the bikes are fantastic. But then there's always that weird side too. Like he would just hate you for a while for no reason. You'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Well, I mean, working there, if you would get in his sights, like if you fuck something up, and everybody there fucks something up at some point. Everyone, I did, everybody did. And if you got in his sights and you didn't handle it right, that was it, you were done.
Yeah.
Because I would watch, web people argue about, Jesse would say, I want, the parts page to look like this and I want it up in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And when he says that, you say, okay, and you go figure out how to do it.
Right.
You don't sit there and argue with him about coding.
Yeah.
And timelines.
Yeah. Because he's got vision, but he doesn't know. If he doesn't know how to do something, he says, you do it, and he walks away. And if you don't do it, then he's like, you're fucking incompetent. You're out of here.
Yeah, he wants what he wants when he wants it, and you got to make it happen.
That's right.
And if it doesn't happen, there has to be a really good explanation as to why.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a hothead. Sometimes he would just do shit to me, and I'd be like, really, dude? Like, I'm doing nothing but good for your shop. I remember one time I brought a guy down to buy a bike, $100,000, and then Jesse decided that day the guy had to pay full price for 2 T-shirts, and the guy just rolled. It's whatever day it is, and I understand there's so much stress owning a business. You got guys, you're running all these dudes and this shit. You don't know what's going on when you run into him. He could have the worst day ever. So I get it.
Yeah, it's one of the, I mean, that's the thing with that place is that it just had a, it was its own animal. It didn't work like. Anywhere that I've been before or since. Yeah, exactly. It's got to be kind of weird now that it's gone. The excitement of that place was just so radical all the time. Fun, even though it was dysfunctional a lot of times. So much fun to work at. After a while, it gets like anything. It gets a little boring. Choppers. And you're hearing guys going, yeah, this chopper. And that. You're like, yeah, fuck choppers. But at the end of the day, you're building choppers, which is pretty cool. Yeah, even on the worst day there, it was pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
There were times when everybody there was just demoralized and just bummed and things were getting weird and it was just stressful. But even at its worst, it was still... And the thing too that really is important is even throughout all the changes, all the bullshit, all the employee, whoever was working there, the last 2 bikes that came out of the raw Diablo Rigid, and the CFL2s and those last bikes were just as good, if not miles above the early stuff. Every bike that came out of that place was dialed.
Hold on 1 second. I gotta tell this guy. Yeah, so the bikes that are the last few bikes are amazing. Like the CFL2 was on fire.
That was when we first started doing that was a weird folded sheet metal frame that nobody had ever done.
It takes hours to build it, right?
It was insane. It was the just dumbest thing ever, and we got these gargantuan machines to laser cut the material and then to fold them like origami, and then 20 feet of welds on this thing. It was ridiculous. It was the stupidest, most insane thing to do. And when we first did it, I thought it was the ugliest thing in the world. But then as we started making them, it was like, okay, these are fucking rad.
Yeah, they were cool, man.
The Keels bike.
Keels bike's unbelievable.
The Keels bike's the one for me. The Keels and the Panhead for S&S was pretty rad. All of them. I mean, there's only...
That Keels bike...
We only did 3.
Yeah, it had the pan motor with the anodized stuff.
Yeah, that was the S&S bike. And the Keels bike was that cream one. I think that one looked the best.
Yeah. Those were... The weird thing about those bikes were... If you were short, you couldn't ride them. They were low to the ground, but they were long. Like the handlebars were far away.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is a lot of the bikes and a lot of the frames and stuff were designed around Jesse. And then like he and I are about the same size, so I would be like his test, his size dummy until he could come in and double check it. So it was made for apes.
Right. That was the funny thing about West Coast Chopper. It didn't matter what you wanted, you weren't getting it.
Yeah, you got what we wanted.
Yeah, you go in, you go, yeah, I want a bike and I want this and that, and they'd go, yeah, we made a blue one last year, so no. And you'd be like, what? And then it would come out, it'd be like a 6-up bike, and the guy would be 5'4", like JJ.
We tried to get sizing right. One of those, but as far as colors, and we'd have guys coming in saying, I want one to match my 65 Mustang.
Yeah.
Fuck no.
That was the amazing thing about the shop. It was just like, fuck you. And you'd be like, what do you mean? I'm giving you $100,000. It'd be like, no.
We had a guy that wanted us to build. I think I've seen it, so I think he got somebody to do it.
Yeah.
To make a bike that looked like a skeleton. It's just dumb shit.
Shit.
And we do dumb shit.
More Orange County chopper stuff.
Yeah, and just we do dumb shit like the airplane bike if it was cool
that was
and a
cool,
challenge and weird, and kind of give us free reign if it was a cool deal. But yeah, I mean, people would want just stupid shit.
Now the Tuttles come along and they basically get famous off of Jesse, like with their own kind of thing. And these guys are just fools. I mean, they're not builders. They're nothing. They were what were they, like welders in Jersey?
Yeah, I mean, they were in upstate New York.
Yeah,
and I remember talking to Indian Larry. It's at Daytona one year, right when the show started. About how we would watch the show and just lose it because there was always one thing on every episode that would have gotten me fired.
Yeah.
They'd be hitting an axle with a sledgehammer or grinding something that they shouldn't be grinding on or just something, MIG welding, some bullshit, it was just ridiculous. And they build show bikes. I mean, their bikes are not...
Unridables, I call them.
They were, the first time I saw them in person was at that Daytona show, and it was West Coast had the whole parking lot of this place called the Wreck. The whole parking lot was us, and across the street was Choppers Inc. and Hank Young and Indian Larry, and
good stuff.
OCC was off in the corner, and it was right when they were taking off. It was huge. You stand in line for their autographs and just bullshit like that. And they had the bikes out there, like they had a Christmas bike and they had a fireman bike and
a sailor bike.
Oh, just the weirdest.
I think they had a penis bike.
Just the goofiest shit ever. And the fireman bike, which was one of the first ones that they made, the carburetor looked like a fire plug.
Yep.
Have you seen that bike in person?
Yeah.
The carburetor is the size of a loaf of bread. It is fucking ridiculous. It is the goofiest fucking thing.
Well, the thing I always loved about how dumb they were was I never watched the show. I watched it like once, but it had this formula where they would go, today we're going to build a Statue of Liberty bike. And then the style of talking became the reality show standard.
Formula,
yeah, it was the formula. They'd interview the first guy and go, Paul really wants to see this bike's dreams come true. I'm with him too. And then they get the other guy, he goes, my dad doesn't understand the work that I do. And the way they talk, and then he would come in and go, I should get it done.
Yeah, it was very formulatic.
It's so fucking dumb.
The thing that would crack me up is when that show took off, people would say to me like, oh, I can't believe they came up with a toolbox for an oil tank. And I keep thinking like, this person has zero imagination. You know how fucking easy it is to look at something around your fucking house, like that belt buckle right there?
Yeah, just weld it on a bike.
Oh, I'll make a belt buckle bike.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put those on top of the risers. It's so fucking easy. Like,
so dumb.
it's so stupid to just come up with this nonsense. It's not. It really is not hard if you have even a touch of imagination. And it doesn't have to work.
No, not at all.
The bikes don't have to work. They just have to roll off of stage.
You never see anybody ride it for more than six minutes. You know?
The thing that OCC was smart with is they did their show, and then they had a whole other shop where you could buy Orange County choppers that were just kit bikes out of the V-Twin catalog.
That's right.
And they would just paint them, call them OCCs, and you'd buy them, and they were cheap. They were like, $20,000.
Yeah, they had like 3 different ones. They had the spider web bike, just 3 models,
Yeah, and they were super smart where our stuff was always high-end, hand-built. We never made, our cheapest bike was probably CFL, which was $40,000 if you did a basic style.
And that's the best one at West Coast. It's weird.
And it was like still all handmade. We never did like a production.
Yeah.
That's where OCC was smart, and they licensed everything immediately, like where we
didn't
license
till the
end.
I'm not knocking them at all. There's business. I understand business. They made millions, and it was great, but they also fucked up by, look at Paul didn't pay taxes. He's in trouble with that. They went too big. They tried to open their own, like, Harley-Davidson kind of plant. And they put all their money into that, and it's just like, and then they hate each other.
It's just a
bunch of greed
crazy.
and weird shit,
When the few times I've talked to those guys, I just get the vibe that they're just kind of clueless. They are just sort of thrown into this. They don't really, where Jesse knows about history of bikes, like going back to the teens.
He fucking knows everything about motorcycles.
Yeah, he knows a lot.
Yeah.
He knows everything. And then
like him or love him, man, that guy is a fucking, he's a time machine. You can look at something, he'd go, this was built in 36, and they had these bullshit Allen nuts on here that never worked. That's why this doesn't work. And he'll just rattle it off.
He knows that shit, whereas, I was watching the Orange County guys, and they had to build like a Burrow Superior replica for Jay Leno, which is like just so much awful in one TV show. It's not even funny. But they're looking online, like researching, like, what's a Burrow Superior? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, where Jesse knows about, he hates British bikes for the most part, but he knows about them.
Yeah, he hates him. He's always clowning on Decker about his,
He's clowning on me about my Triumphs when I had those at the shop.
Yeah. The cool thing about Jesse is he had badass shit at that shop, man. He had like vintage like motorcycle posters. He had crazy bikes. He had cool ass car. This shit he had was all the baddest stuff.
It was the stuff you'd have if you were that guy that got money all of a sudden.
That's right. You're rich and you're a blue collar guy.
If you were some dude that was into hot rods that built shit and you suddenly had $1 million, you would have all that same shit.
Yeah.
So that's why when anybody calls him a sellout or a poser, it's so not the case.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people just say dumb shit out of hate, Bottom line is you're talking about a one guy who built an empire of choppers that it didn't even exist. It was dead in the water in like 1979, and here it comes out of nowhere. And it's still going strong now. It's just the people that ride them, that like them, are the people riding them. That's how it should be,
Yeah, it sort of come back. He sort of brought it, almost had to bring it up to bring it back down.
Yeah, you had to kill it all the way to the ground and bring it back up from the ashes.
And now you see, young guys are into it, and they're building period bikes, which I'm not, it doesn't take a whole lot of imagination to copy a bike out of Easy Riders, where doing something like a CFL2 does.
Well, that shit. Now, who was designing that stuff? Here's one of the rumors that's always cracks me up. Jesse's never even at the shop. He doesn't build anything or nothing. Of course, you got to have guys building the day-to-day doing the work. But he designed that CFL2, right?
Yeah, for sure. He came up with the idea, drew it out,
Yeah. To me, it's a Redline BMX bike.
It's kind of like a square back.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
it's a 75 Redline.
Had that kind of a vibe to it, but it actually came from when he got into the trophy trucks.
Right.
And they're doing those folded sheet metal A-arms, and it really came from that, where he got really into the trophy trucks and the Baja racing.
Right.
And the technology from that, spilled over into a chopper. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
And it went through a couple different variations before it landed on where it landed on, with that 3-piece oil tank with the bulkhead in the middle.
Yeah.
Stuff that never been done before.
It's all I mean, this guy's like, this bike was state of the art. I remember the first day I rode it, I was like, whoa, this is fucking great.
It was just insanity.
There was no flex in the in the rear end or anything. You could hammer it. And
Mike Desmond, who does, I think he has a shop called Wargasser now.
He's amazing.
He's the guy. He came from, I want to say
Toyota, yeah.
I think, designer there to us, and he would come up with these just crazy designs.
He was awesome.
Great artist.
There was shit that would have been getting ready to come out, like the Warbird mini taillight LED.
There's a few of those. Yep. We made a few of those.
That was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff that would have come out would have been fantastic, you know?
And some of the things like that Warbird mini taillight, where we worked against ourselves, is that we like to do everything in-house.
Right.
Where if we just drew it and sent it to China or sent it to someone else and outsourced it, it would have come out and it would have been easy, but we wanted everything in-house.
Yeah, Mike D said that the taillight would have cost like $300 a piece to make like 300 of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like that headlight we did, the billet headlight at the end with the grill. I mean, that thing was so labor intensive, and that, you know, the headlight bucket started as a solid block of aluminum, and they were made one at a time. It was
that's just insane.
Crazy. It was a total backwards way of doing things.
What do you think the best bike to come out of there was?
There's so many that, like, how do you qualify?
Well, I mean,
best?
For your, like, you thought, like, I mean, you rode them all.
Probably my favorite was that red Honda Cafe bike.
Which one? Oh yeah, I remember
Honda
that
concept bike, because that was awesome. Because that was, Honda gave us a motor and was like, build a bike. I'm sure expecting a chopper.
Yeah.
And Jesse said, fuck you, and built. And they had no input in it, never even saw it until it was finished.
Yeah.
And built this fucked up cafe racer.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was awesome because it was just so, like, just off the map, where we could show where we would do. That was the thing. No matter what bike you're into, we built something that's the best. We built that Honda. We built, you know, the knucklehead for Hetfield, or
that was awesome.
You know, or that
knucklehead for Hetfield is one of my favorite. What was it called? Like Junkyard or something? It's called something. I forget.
We never
had a name because it just looked like it was like sanded and old and shit.
It had like that patina look to it.
Yeah,
and it had a big inch knucklehead motor in it. Yeah,
awesome.
But then you know, you get the CFL2 or the swing arm bikes. There was always something.
Yeah,
whatever you're into, we nailed it. You know, I feel like
it's by far the best shit ever made. It's still right now. I mean, nobody's come past it, you know.
There's some, you know, like Falcon does some amazing stuff, and, you know, there's a bunch of builders out there really doing amazing stuff. But as far as quantity, quality, and just being able to hit every niche, you know, I feel like West Coast had it dialed. You could walk in there with $100,000 and just say, I want a cafe racer, and just have the awesomest one there, you know.
It
was, and there was stuff on the drawing board when we closed that would have just, you know, been even crazier.
What happened now? Just one day, that was it, huh? After the Sandra thing goes down, all of a sudden it was just like, we're out of here. It got crazy, like Big Chris smacking the paparazzi guy's truck. It was just, they were assholes all over that place.
It just got really, once all that shit went down, it got really weird. You know, and obviously, you know, Jesse's got his own personal stuff. He's got to worry about his kids. He's got that kind of shit going on in the shop. We're trying to make things happen, but, you know, we got these paparazzis. We got this giant, you know, street corner to pay for. Bikes, you know, it just, you could see it, that it was like either something's got to drastically change or it's going to close down.
Yeah.
And then he started talking about moving to Texas.
Yep.
And that's when I kind of knew, like, okay, something's going to happen. And I talked to him before he did it, and he was, you know, at the time was saying he was going to keep it open, and then, you know, but I
just live out there and keep it open.
Yeah, I could kind of tell. I left before, you know, probably a month before the doors shut.
Yeah,
I saw the writing on the wall and found another job and left.
Yeah, wise move.
So, you
know. What is it over there now? Have you been by there? Did somebody buy it?
Last time I was over there was a couple months ago. I needed a tire for my truck, and there's those cheap tire shops over there, and the whole area is a fucking ghost town. The chrome shop's gone that we used to use around the long cow bumper that we used at our chrome. They're gone. the West Coast buildings, but all of them were empty. The one on the corner that was the Garage Magazine building was
the green one.
Yeah, somebody else had bought that.
Yeah,
Cisco Burger was closed.
Oh, it's closed.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Cisco Burger's
Cisco Burger. He had a burger shop. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, it was insane.
It was great food.
Yeah, we had
unbelievable. It was all like grass-fed meats. It was solar-powered place.
Veggie Burger.
Rockabilly Veggie Burger.
I had my own sandwich. So yeah, I mean,
and everything was just. Does he still own those buildings? They up for sale?
Last I heard, they were all sold. I mean, they were all up for sale. I honestly don't know. I haven't been. That's the thing with that area. If there's absolutely no reason to go down there.
That's right.
At all. There's nothing down there. It's all industrial.
So it's all. He's at Austin Speed Shop now.
Yeah, he's he's out in Texas. He's got a shop behind his house. He's building bikes there.
And where are you working? A bike shop? Bicycle shop?
I work at a bicycle fat company.
How do you like that? That's good because you love BMX and stuff.
It's fabrication. Same stuff. I'm overseeing purchasing. And
you're into comedy now too, right? Like me.
Yeah, I'm hilarious.
Yeah. You got a great Twitter. What is your Twitter?
It's just at Rockabilly Jay.
Rockabilly Jay, and you got great tweets. And who's your favorite comedian right now? CK?
CK and Patton.
Patton, yeah.
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt.
Patton's great because I've actually, through Twitter, we've spoken, and he's retweeted me a few times. That's how I can always...
I retweeted you. I'm like a celebrity.
I almost got as many followers as you, though.
Yeah. Fucking, it's so bullshit.
It's so
I'm
bullshit.
A celebrity.
Yeah, so am I. Then.
I'm a fucking beginner comic with a podcast.
Yeah. I just got a Twitter and done a couple open mics.
Yeah, there you go.
Right there with you. But yeah, CK, which I'm so bummed you got to go see him the other night.
I saw the shows. They were amazing.
It figures total typical, I was home that day.
Yeah.
It was my kid's first day of kindergarten. So I had taken her to school, and I was going to pick her up, and I was being dad. And I get this, Louis C.K.'s in L.A. I look it up, actually has tickets. Tickets are available. I could have bought them.
And you couldn't go.
And I was sitting there, and I was trying to figure out how I could go. And I almost have it planned out in my mind, and I'm ready to hit purchase. And then I realize I'm negative $400 in my bank account. Right? So I can't even buy them if I want to.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, it's fucking just not meant to be.
Well, fuck, man. Thanks for coming by, talking some West Coast. I got to have you on again. I mean, we could talk hours on that. People would be like, oh, okay, yeah. But there it is, West Coast Choppers. It's the greatest chopper company I thought ever made.
It was a lot of fun.
It'll always be history. Someday they will make a movie. And, if you see a chopper out there and it's, a West Coast, take a look at it, man. It's badass.
You have to put something on your website, like a guide to this one with pictures.
Yeah, I will actually. You can, and let's see. You can find me at Rockabilly Jay. This is Let There Be Talk. If you listen to this on iTunes, please give us a review. Give us a review and tell your friends about it. Going to have some more motorcycle stuff on if you like motorcycle. All you chicks out there, I know how much you love motorcycles. Yay. You're not even listening right now because you've already turned off when I said motorcycles.
They turned off when they heard I was the guest.
Yeah. But we might have handbags and shoes, ladies, so watch out for that.
There you go. Yeah. Why am I tuning in for that?
Yeah. But thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
And I'll see you guys later. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Let There Be Talk. Yeah!